My name is William McKinney, and today we will learn about exponents and square roots of numbers. Unlike other mathematical principles, exponents and square roots take some understanding of how they function and why they are present in an equation. This is called the quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c over 2a. As you can see right there. This is a famous equation called the quadratic formula, which you will use many times in algebra. It includes a square root, which is shown right here, and an exponent, which you can see right here, b to the power of 2. We will learn how to solve that later, but for now, let's start with a few simple examples, such as 1 to the power of 2 equals 1, 2 to the power of 2 equals 4, 3 to the power of 2 equals 9, 4 to the power of 2 equals 16, and 5 to the power of 2 equals 25. Think of this as a kind of like a shorthand to multiplying a number by itself, designated by the number on the top shown right here. And each of these, 2 is representative of how many times a number will be multiplied by itself. So two numbers would be used here, 1 times 1, which equals 1, and 2 times 2, which equals 4, 3 times 3, which equals 9, 4 times 4, which equals 16, 5 times 5, which equals 25. So it's like literally a shorthand to tell you what numbers are being multiplied by themselves over and over again. So if we were to go back and do 2 to the power of 3, you would have to multiply 2 by itself 3 times. So this is 1 2, this is 2 2's, and this is the third 2. And that comes out to be, this is 4, as we already mentioned, because, as we already mentioned, because 2 times 2 goes 4, equals 8. And this is a very simple process that is easy to understand after you've practiced it a lot. So now, we'll move on to square roots. And this is like the exact opposite of exponents. So we have the square root of 1 equals 1, the square root of 4 equals 2, the square root of 9 equals 3, the square root of 16 equals 4, and the square root of 25 equals 5. It's the exact opposite of exponents because you're dividing the number using a principle of exponents. You're not multiplying these numbers. So for 1, how many numbers what numbers can go into 1? It's just 1. So 1 times 1 equals 1, and it's divided by 1 time. So if we look at 4, what goes into 4? 2 times 2, which equals 4. So 2 divided by 2 equals 2. What is 9 divided by 3? Well, 3 times 3 equals 9. So 9 divided by 3 equals 3. And then we go on to 16. 4 times 4 equals 16. And just for all of these, that's just 4 to the power of 2, which will also equal 16. You're just taking out of this square root to get 4. We go here and do 5 times 5 equals 25, or 5 squared. Taking 5 out of 25 gives you 5. So now we have a basic understanding of how these two principles work. We'll try to go back and solve a quadratic equation. Okay, so the equation that we're going to be solving for today is x squared minus 10x plus 20, which equals 0. Let's plug in the numbers. X equals negative b, or just 10, plus or minus the square root of b squared. Negative 10 times negative 10 is positive 100, minus 4a. A is designated by, it's determined by the number in front of this x, which is just 1 because it's 1x. So 4 times 1 times c, which would be this number here, 20. So we'll put 20 in there. Feel free to follow along with your own pen and paper. And then we have 2a down here, which is just 2 times the 1 up here. So 2 times 1, which equals 2. So what we have right now is 10 plus or minus the square root of 100 minus 4 times 1 times 20, which equals 100 minus 80 over 2, which equals 10 plus or minus the square root of 20 over 2. And this will happen where you can't ultimately take an even square root out of the number that you're working with. So instead, you'll represent it like this: 10 plus or minus, and you're going to be taking out 4 out of this number. So the square root of 4 is 2, so you put 2 right here, times the square root of 5. Because 20 divided by 4 equals 5, and when 4 is taken out, you just divide that by 2, because that's the square root of 4, and you have 2 times the square root of 5 over 2. And what we can do right now is simplify it even further. We divide these numbers by 2 to get 5 plus or minus the square root of 5. And for now, that's pretty good. So we will call that our finish to the solving of that equation. And we are done. Thank you for listening in. And we will discuss more about square roots in our next video. Thank you.